Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the next month's podcast of Craft Your Life with Altnew. We are always so excited to see who our next guest is. And this month, we have with us the amazing Charlene Madrid. Welcome, Charlene.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
We're very excited to have you. If you guys haven't noticed, Charlene's name pops up a lot in social media feeds at Altnew lately. She's been doing some videos with us and some guest designing. So it's so excited to be able to catch up and have a chat and get to know the artist behind the beautiful projects.
I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to answering all of your questions and just getting to know, letting people know me a little bit better out there in the community.
And we did something a little unique this time because I knew Charlene was coming on, and Charlene has a unique kind of backstory a little bit, which we'll get into in just a second. But I did post a request for some questions from the fan group. So we have some questions from our amazing Altnew fans today that will be coming at you. So very exciting to not only have our basic questions that we usually ask, but also some questions brought by the fans, which is very exciting. So
I love that.
The first one is, of course, who is Charlene Madrid?
I am a card making content creator. That's like the basic what I do. Now, who is Charlene Madrid? That's an interesting question. I'm not sure that I'm really 100% sure who I am. But in general, I think I'm a positive person that enjoys sharing
and spreading kindness.
There you go.
It's spreading kindness because you create beautiful projects.
I do. So. Yes. And I just enjoy interacting with people and getting to know them and sharing what I know in my head out with other people and getting things in return, which is really awesome because people will show me things and it's exciting. I get to learn from them too.
And I think that's one of the blessings of this community is we learn so much from what we put out, meaning whether we teach a class and you see what the students do in your class and they're like, hey, I hope you don't mind. I took this up a notch. And you're like, yes, you took it up a notch. You're so excited.
Yeah.
This is just.
I love to see the projects from whenever I teach a class and seeing what everyone does. I'm always like, tag me. And I think some people don't think I'm serious about that, but I really want to see what they've made. It's so exciting to me to see their version of whatever it is. And they come up with such creative things and I'm always inspired.
And there's some that you're like, I could do that. And then you go, like you take from that and you're like, when I create, I need to do this. I really liked this piece or I liked that technique or I like that color palette. Like there's always something you take from what you have put out. It comes back. So it's such a unique community that we are so blessed to be in.
Yes, I agree. 100%.
Now, originally, you started out on a very different path in life. And this was kind of one of our fan questions. So just a quick kind of background. Charlene made the jump and decided, and we're going to get into it, but just so you have a little bit of backstory, made the jump and decided to go to a full-time content creator and is now on numerous design teams. She's basically everywhere, which is very exciting. So we kind of wanted to find out, because we hear a lot of our fans and a lot of crafters, that's their dream, is to make this their full-time job and to be a content creator and to work on design teams. So it's very exciting to hear Charlene's story so that you guys maybe have some inspiration out there as well, because we know a lot of you, that's your dream, is to be a crafter full-time. So what was your original, this was from the fan group, what was your original kind of path in life that you were taking?
So I'm an attorney. And people are sometimes surprised by that because I think they generally think about attorneys as being very analytical and being very, exacting and things like that, and not necessarily so creative. But I'm very analytical about my cards, so it works out really well. And but I started out as an attorney in life. I was an attorney, a practicing attorney for about 9 years. I had my own small boutique law firm in Colorado, and I really enjoyed being an attorney. It was, but it was very, very stressful job. Very, um, just a lot of like difficult cases. I did family law, so divorce, child custody, not very cheerful things,
Yes.
unlike card making. But I did enjoy it because I was able to help a lot of people, and just there was a lot of good parts to it. But just before the pandemic, my family and I had moved across the country from Colorado to Washington. And because my husband got a kind of a job, we couldn't pass it out here. So I had closed my firm down. Plan was to move to Washington, get all set up with my license here in Washington, and then either go work at a firm or start a firm or whatever worked out. Well, we got here, and then we spent the next 2 years inside our house. Because it was, it was a different time. So it was, I was teaching my kids online school. My husband was working from home. Thankfully, he was able to do that and still does for his job. And I kind of took over more of the traditional domestic duties for our household because it didn't make sense to try and go and do what my original plan was. And my husband bought me a Cricut for Mother's Day. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'll play with it for a little while, and it'll give me something to do. And I went all in, Bridget. And when I say all in, I mean all in. If I find something I like, I tend to go overboard with it.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. I mean, I within the span of a couple of months went from just having the Cricut to having everything related to the Cricut and learning how to create my own SVG files from scratch. And I then, was making all of these things. And I don't know how long of a story you want. Sorry,
Okay.
This is kind of a long story.
That's okay.
But I found card making because I had made some paper flowers, and I wanted the paper flowers. I was looking at them and I was like, they just need something. They need to be like sparkly. There must be something I can buy to put on these paper flowers to make them prettier. And I started Googling, things to make flowers shiny that are paper. It's just kind of like, what do you put for your Google search for that? But I came across perfect pearls, and that was the start of a deep rabbit hole dive into card making. I was like, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? I just didn't stop. I had to get all the things and do all the things and learn all the things. And very, very, very quickly, my Cricut was kind of put into a corner and covered with it's still back there somewhere.
It's very pretty.
With a dust jacket. It's over around here somewhere. But that's how I started with card making. And I think that was the original question.
Yes.
I don't remember now. Okay. Good. I answered the question. Go me.
And remember, everybody's stories are different lengths, so could be a new craft or it's a short story. I saw a video and I started, and that's it. It's short, but sometimes there are longer stories. And there's still more to the story because it's lots of kind of questions.
There is.
But now her and I have spoken about this because although Jennifer McGuire really did influence us in our crafting and watching her videos, we both had different folks that kind of brought us in. Who was your person that brought you into card making?
So I first discovered card making in August of 2021. And I somehow or other saw something about crop and create with scrapbooks and cards today. I saw someone mention it in the comments of something somewhere or something, and I was like, ooh, what is that? That sounds fun. Um, and it was happening in like a month, and I saw they were, registration had been closed for like months and everything. And I reached out to him. I was like, hey, so in the very off chance that you have an extra box, I would love to buy this and go and be a part of this because it sounds amazing. And very luckily, they responded and said, you know what, we do. We just had this person wasn't able to go, so we have this. And we could get it out to you before the event. And I was like, yes, take my monies. Here you go. Here's my credit card. And so I got this giant box because those crop and crate events they're very big kind of things. And at the event, you're learning from lots of different people from different companies. And so right off the bat, I was introduced to Kathy Zilski and Gina Kay and Jen Shirkus and just all these, big name crafters. And in particular, Kathy Z, like she's my jam. I was like, I like this lady. She's a good lady. I need to go find out more about her. So I found her channel and I watched lots of her videos, and she made card making very, very approachable in terms of like, I've never done this before. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And it was very inspiring. And I thought, oh, well, if she can do it and she's doing these things like just for the first time, I could do that too. I could make a video where I'm just doing it for the first time. Maybe that would be helpful to other people and I could share kind of what I learned. And so very, very quickly, I started card making in August of 2021, and my first video went live at the beginning of October 2021 on YouTube. So it was very quick. My family got sick and tired, frankly, of hearing me talk about card making. So I was like, and this will be a great way for me to talk to other people about card making. And that was the start of it all.
Your husband's like, go, do what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find your people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how did it switch from just, I found this really, really cool hobby that I love. This is fantastic. You had a quick turnaround time, but how did it switch from that to, I think this is what I want to do every day, and I'm jumping in with both feet and arms here.
So I had started originally just by, making my videos and posting my pictures on Instagram. And I started finding out, I think the same way a lot of people do, about like design teams. I was like, ooh, who are all these people that make these beautiful cards? And then, as you know, very, very quickly, card making can get very, very expensive if you are buying all of the things. Which, by the way, viewers at home, you can buy stuff, but you don't have to buy all the things like me. Like you don't have to do that. I'm not telling you to buy all the things, but it can get very expensive very fast. And so I thought, oh, I could be on a design team. I wonder if my cards are at the level that maybe I could find a team to be on, and that would cut back on my card making costs. And also I just thought it would be fun. I thought it'd be fun to be like on a team, creating with that team. And I didn't know what I was doing really, but I just thought it'd be fun. So I did some research on it and found there was a company that I was on a team for and that I did videos for. And so I did a lot of videos for them, and that really helped kind of refine my video style very quickly early on. Whereas if if I hadn't had that, I probably wouldn't have made as many videos as I did at the beginning. But I was just doing a lot of videos, at least one a week. And so I refined my style, I guess, very early on with videos. And yeah, it kind of snowballed from there, I want to say, because I was doing that, and that introduced me to other people and other companies. And I had a different company reach out to me and ask me if I wanted to do some design work for them. And it just grew over time organically, I feel like, from the different teams. And then in last year, there was an open call for Hero Arts for their design team, and that, I believe, is the first time they ever did an open call for their team. And I always admired their company very much because they were kind of what started a lot of it 50 years ago there. And I put my application in and all of that. Never, like, in a million years thinking that I would get selected for their team. And I was so excited when I was. So I started getting involved in some, like, bigger teams that were more involved, I would say, in what you do as part of the team. And you're doing a lot more. And at some point, I'll backtrack a little bit.
That's okay.
I had thought I was going to do some substitute teaching, because in Washington, you're shocked because you don't know this.
I didn't know this. No,
See,
I'm worried.
Bridget doesn't know this. But I had thought I was going to do some substitute teaching, because in Washington, if you have a degree, you can, because they have such a shortage of teachers here
too,
you can go in and get certification through a whole thing to go do substitute teaching. And I thought, okay, that'd be a great way to, supplement my income. I'm still home for the kids. I can do my card making as my YouTubing as my hobby on the side. And I still wasn't really prepared to try and go back to work full time, because it didn't really work with our family dynamic anymore, because my husband travels a lot for work now that, once the pandemic was kind of tapering off, he started traveling a lot. And so I went through the whole process. I did the whole thing, the certification. I got it all. I went and did the trainings and this and the that and the others, and I got my little thing and my badge, and I had my go bag to go, like, take it to the school to substitute teach. And I managed one day as a substitute teacher.
Oh no.
It was not my jam.
What grade was it that they got you for?
Oh, the kids were lovely. That wasn't even it.
Okay.
It was I went in. It was third grade, I believe. It was second or third grade. I went and did it the one day, and I just was so tired at the end of the day. It's very mentally exhausting to try and keep 30 little people on track. It just is. And I got home and I was so tired, and I was like, I have a newfound respect for teachers. I didn't realize how mentally draining it was at the end of the day. And two, I guess for me, the cost benefit wasn't there. I was like, I'm so tired. I'm, like, super tired when I get home. I wouldn't even want to do any crafting if this is what I did all the time, So I made a decision after talking to my husband. I was like, I think what I want to do is make card making into my full, mostly full-time gig, and see where it goes, see how it does. My channel's doing pretty well at this point. And let's go from there. And we are luckily in a position where it's I don't need to bring in like what I brought in as an
Yep.
attorney. So, because if it was about monetary, I'll tell you right now, like being the attorney is the more financially sound decision. Doing the law, practicing the law, but I'm just very lucky that I had the opportunity to go this route, and I'm really enjoying it. It's great.
Now, have you sent cards to all of your old teachers saying, "Thank you so much. I did this one day and I love you so much. Thank you. Love, Charlene."
I should. I will tell you, like, my children's teachers get better or nicer gifts now for the teacher appreciation. I'm like, you have no idea how much I appreciate you now. Like, I appreciated you before. Now I really appreciate you.
Yeah, so I started in early education in college. And so I substitute taught and loved the kids. And I always told them, 4th grade and above, that's it. Never call me below 4th grade. They called me one day and they're like, we either have to put the janitor in or you're coming in. And I'm like, no. I wanted kindergarten. No. Firm no. They're like, we will double your pay. What time do you need me?
Yeah, like
At the end of the day, I'm walking out. I don't know my name. I forgot what color my car was, where it was. And I said, never call me again below 4th grade. Ever.
Yeah.
And she looked at my face and she goes, okay. Like, it was just, so yeah, I love teachers. I wanted to be one. My husband was one. My husband was a principal. So I love the teachers. I don't know how they do it. I mean, especially with when they're like kittens and they just run wild. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. If I did it again, it would need to be like middle school.
They were the jam. They were so cool. Yeah, they were super cool.
Yeah,
6th grade was my jam. So, that was my like happy spot. Like they were still fun kids, but they didn't get the kind of adolescent attitude that can sometimes come with teenagers. Not all of them get it, but some of them do. So you kind of miss out. It's like the sweet spot. It was just so much fun. I had so much fun with the kids, but the paperwork. And then, so I didn't do it because there was so much paperwork, and then I went into social work. So again, you were talking about kind of not smart moves, and that's kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and part of it, you just don't know, I think, in life sometimes where a path is going to take you. I certainly did not know that moving across the country was going to make me a YouTuber. If someone had said to me, hey, you, guess what you're going to do in a couple of years? And I would have been like, no.
You got the wrong girl. Oh, wrong girl.
No, that's not going to happen.
Like, I don't craft. I don't know what you're talking about. What?
Yeah.
Paper what? You make flowers with paper?
No. I just, and frankly, like, this will sound terrible, but I was like, why would people do that? Like, that looks boring.
And then now you're like, I know why people do
this. It's because and it goes to that saying, don't knock something until you try it, because you never know. Like, even when something craft related might look boring or overwhelming or something like that, if you try it, it might just be your jam. You never know.
And sometimes it's not your jam, but you pull it out of your toolbox once in a while and you're like, hey, look, I made a thing. I'm not good at this technique, but I did it. And I here's my photo and my smiling face next to it. Because there are techniques that we all still struggle with, that we all are like, this is something I'm like, watercolor, I will work on for the rest of my life. It's always something that's going to be going. Do you have one that you're always going to be working on?
Coloring.
Yeah.
I do a lot of alcohol marker coloring, and it is absolutely one of those things that you can just continue to get better at over time. I don't think you ever stop improving. And it's also one of those things where if you haven't done it for a while, you have to relearn. It's not like a bicycle. You do have to relearn if you haven't colored for a while. So it is something that I feel like I have to pull out pretty frequently and work on in order to keep the skills I have and then also build on them.
And it's fun too to rotate your skills, right? Like it's fun to do the ink blending, the watercolor, the artist markers, all of the things, because we want to, like you said earlier, We want all the things. We want to play with all the toys. We want to create all the things. There's just not enough time in the day, unfortunately, to do all of
Yeah.
it.
And I think so. I had someone had once asked me, like, what's your style? What's your style of card making? And I honestly, truly like to do all of the things. And I think some people they say, oh, like I color, like this is what I do. I color, or I watercolor, or I do this. And I really do like to do all the things. So style wise, it's a little tricky for me because, people think mixed media or coloring or, clean and simple. And so I've officially decided my style is clean and overly complicated, because it tends to be overly complicated because I make it overly complicated. And anyone trying to replicate it would do a much better job because they did not spend the 3 hours trying to figure out what they were doing.
Maybe we have a new style. Maybe it's clean and analytical, because you were saying that you've brought your analytical nature to card making. So maybe instead of clean and simple, maybe it's clean and analytical. Maybe we have a new card thing.
Yeah. That could be it too. Yeah, I like that too. But I use all the different things. Yeah. The watercolor, the ink blending, the coloring, the colored pencils, all those things. And I might use them all in one card, or I might just use one in one card and something else. So I'm definitely a lover of the mediums, the things that you can use to create with. But the style overall, it is more of a clean style for me. I want everything to kind of be like A plus B equals C. And you can even see that sort of in my stuff that is meant to be more messy, mixed media. Even then, it's very like right angle, and it's a struggle for me to tear paper, but I will do it if I need to.
In a pinch, she will tear the paper.
In a pinch, I will tear the paper.
Now, in this big, beautiful world of crafting, how did you find Altenew?
Oh, so Altenew, Altenew just, they knock it out of the park, obviously, when it comes to florals. I think everybody associates Altenew with florals. They're like, they make these just beautiful floral stamps, and the Craft Your Life project kits are so amazing and just full of all this gorgeous stuff. And I found Altenew because of a good friend of mine, who is a certified educator, Terry Wilson. She posts a lot of Altenew things on her Instagram page and also on YouTube. And I always thought, wow, like those things are really beautiful, like, but that's not for me. That's how I initially felt. I was like, I don't do florals. Again, this is why you should never, ever close yourself off from something without trying it. Because I would see her cards and I was like, that's gorgeous, but that just does not seem like something I would do. And she also does a lot of Altenew and a lot of Tim Holtz, both of which I'm like, those are gorgeous, but not my wheelhouse. I do characters that I'm coloring and, different things. And I had kind of a lull in what was going on. I had finished out a term for one or two design teams, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my channel, where I was going with things, and I knew that Terry was a certified educator, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll look into that. Like, I don't know what that entails. I know she does it or is one. Maybe I could learn some things. Like, I have the time right now to do it, and I shouldn't be so judgmental on florals. I don't have any reason to be judgmental about florals. And so I reached out and spoke with Aram, and that started my Altenew path. And I am part of the educator I haven't gotten my certification yet. Shh, don't tell
Part
anybody.
of
Um,
the educator family.
I'm the educator family.
Good.
I've done my first 2 levels, and I'm like almost there. I haven't had the time to finish it out, but I learned so much and tried so many amazing techniques that I never would have personally like sought out to try.
Yep.
So it absolutely broadened my toolbox of techniques that I could use. I learned very quickly that Altenew is not just florals. They also do a lot of other things really, really well. Masculine sets, like they make some of the like classiest looking masculine sets that are on the market. I love them because they just look so good on a card. They're not like punny, they're more like just classic and masculine. I don't know how else to describe it. They're very, very nice. And so I really enjoyed getting to see everything that Altenew made and trying different things. And of course, my Altenew, I said, takes all my monies. I said, I need all the things to make my cards for the classes. And one of the classes was a class that I had to do I think it was about 4 or 5 classes in to my first level. And I was like, I don't know what colors I want to use. I have no idea. So oftentimes I will either look at my color wall, which I have all my inks over here. You can't see them here. I'm a little bit of an ink connoisseur. I have lots and lots of inks, Bridget. And I will either look there for inspiration or I'll go online and, just Google something to get inspired. And I had Googled like floral stamp color ideas or something. I don't know, some random thing. And the Altenew Inspiration Challenge came up in one of the results. And I was like, what is that? Like, let's see. I see it says Altenew. I want to see what it is. And I thought it was such a cool way for people who don't know. I'm assuming everybody knows, but they give you a photo. They say, here's your color inspiration. And they give you an example of how whoever is doing the blog post, like how they use that color and palette to inspire their finished card. I thought this is great because they're great color combos. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll use this. And I created my card for the AECP class. And then I submitted it as a entry for the Inspiration Challenge because I was like, oh, well, I did it for that and I did it for the class and I put it in my blog and I was very pleased with myself, because it came out really well. I was very, very pleased with myself. And that month I was selected as a challenge winner. And that like kind of cemented the start of my like long-term kind of interactions with Altenew, because as part of that, if you're a winner, you get the opportunity to do a like a blog hop or different things for a new release, which I was like, yes, please. So I would do that. I would like the new Altenew goodies in order to make the cards. Yes. And so it's been fun ever since.
And
love Altenew.
Now you've been a host. You've actually hosted the Inspiration Challenge. So you began entering and then you ended up being a host, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Now, do you remember your first Altenew set? This is a trick question sometimes because it's tough. It's a toughie.
My very first Altenew set was a set, I believe it's called Painted Flowers.
Oh, that's a pretty one.
Yeah, I think so. It's like it's not as an exact. It's not so exact. Yeah. It's very easy to create, like kind of a whimsical, not like fairy tale, but whimsical. I hopefully that makes sense. The difference in my head anyway is there's two different, and it's more loose It's just more like you can do fun backgrounds for cards with that set, and I really like that whole. There's several stamps that kind of fall into that same category. I feel like with Altino, I really really love those stamps. One of my favorite stamp sets ever is sketched florals.
Yes.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous.
It's
Love, love, love.
And so now she's a floral lover. So you've moved over from
Yeah.
no florals, please, to you're a
like
floral
like
lover.
no, no, like no, even then you look around and there's like that's why I say when people might be like, well, what's your style? And there are plenty of card makers out there that are kind of, I guess, professional card makers where they stick with one thing. You know, they do everything floral or everything. If you guys look at my Instagram, it's like this, then this, then this, then this, then this, this. I just like it all. And florals are definitely, they are good.
Yes.
Do florals if you haven't done them.
We love florals. Yeah, I'm clean and simple. What I do within there will change, of course. Like we talked about like the chess set from Altinu, which love.
Love.
I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It's names.
Perfect Mate.
Perfect Mate. Thank you. So yeah, Perfect Mate. You know, you have that, and I can still create a clean and simple card with that, or I can come in with a floral and create a clean and simple card. And I truly believe you can create a clean and simple mixed media card. So, you know, that's
where
I live. That's my house. That's my place. I like it.
Yeah.
I go out of it occasionally, but then I run right back and I slam the door. And I'm like, whew, that was scary.
Yeah. As you know, I do occasionally. I will try and go, but I usually run back to my happy zone where I can be more. I need some angles in my life. I need
quickly
geometry on my card. I don't know. That's kind of where my brain works.
Now, so you've done really good with answering. Like, I didn't even have to pose a lot of the fan group questions that we had. I'm looking at these. Oh, these are a couple good ones. Knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently making the leap to full-time card maker?
I probably would have forced myself to slow down and think more about what I really wanted to be doing rather than kind of just jumping into the next opportunity many, many times. Because in some ways I did a lot of stuff, but a lot of those things that I did didn't really kind of help me on my card making journey. So I would have slowed down a little bit, taken a little bit more time to really kind of savor those different opportunities that I was involved in and make sure it was something that I was enjoying and also something that was like making sense for what I was trying to accomplish
for you
with my channel. Yeah.
And that's hard because when you're a newer crafter and you've made this decision that I want to pursue this, I want to be on design teams, I want to do this. It's hard when you get an opportunity, you want to say yes, but then I mean, I've had these situations as well where I said yes, and then I was like, oh goodness, was this a good fit for me? You know, and I didn't think about that. And I think that's excellent advice to keep it kind of slow and think, because you want to say yes.
And,
you know?
Yeah. Ultimately, if something ends up not being a good fit for you, more than likely it's also not a good fit for the company that you're working with, or because, you know, if you're not fully invested in that and being able to show your joy for whatever it is, that doesn't help them either. And there's certainly probably someone else out there that maybe loves that specific brand or style, and I think about it in the way now that I could have taken an opportunity away from someone that would have been a much better fit for that company. So thankfully it didn't happen too much. Pretty quickly on, I started to learn like what made sense, and if I was overextending, I got better at, because it is hard for me to say no. It is very hard for me to say no because, one, I love doing it,
Yep.
and two, I don't want to disappoint anyone. I don't like disappointing people.
Yes.
And so it's very hard, which is so funny because when there's two different brains. When I was an attorney, it was fine.
You
I'd be
knew.
like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, this is business, Charlene. And like, no, we're not agreeing to that. We'll go argue about it in front of a judge. And I had no problems doing that. None whatsoever. But as a crafter, I have a very, very, very hard time saying no because I just I like to make people happy, and I like when they make me happy. So it's like a reciprocal, like, let's enjoy our time. Card making, to me, is not, I want a warm, fuzzy feeling when I walk away. Essentially, that's why it's so addicting for me, is the warm, fuzzy feeling.
And I mean, in the end, we both do this as a job, but it doesn't feel like a job. So I think that's part of it too, is that's why you want all the loves and because it's such a loving community and such a loving space that we have between the companies, but in this whole big crafting community world. But that's the thing. So do you still have your passion for card making now that it's your
I do.
goods?
I do. I still very, very, I mean, I think it would be fair to say that there are some times where I sit down and I have something I'm working with and I'm not just awake that day or something, and I just don't have like my creative juices going, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I get imposter syndrome, and I'm like, why? I don't know what to do with this. Like, why did they ask me to do this? I don't know. I'm going to stamp it, and I'll get over that, and I'll get into it, and those days are a little bit hard, but 97% of the time I am ready to like make a project. I'm ready to do the card making. The part that is not as fun is the editing and the voiceovering and the thising and the thating and the like the actual creating is, I love, absolutely. But I will tell you, if you want to be a full-time card maker, don't quit your job first. Like, make sure, do it for a while. Like, keep going, and make sure you enjoy, or at least can tolerate, all of the other stuff that might not be the fun part of the card making, because it will take me sometimes, 5-6 hours to edit a video and do a voiceover and do all the things and export it and take the photos and the this and the that. So there's a lot more to it than just the fun part, the card making part.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot that is behind the scenes. You see a beautiful polished 5-minute video, but that video probably took 8 hours overall to make and edit and voiceover and stage. And I mean, it looks like, oh, she spent 5 minutes. No. And then
I look far more capable than I am in real life. Let me just tell all of you right now. It may be 15 minutes on film. It's like 3 hours in real life. I get to make that card. I'm a very, very slow card maker, actually, in real life. As Bridget knows, I can very easily take 3 hours to make a single card. So I cut out a lot of that, because it'd be really boring to see me sitting, staring at the card, trying to decide what I wanted to do next.
For the fidgeting with the pieces.
So I cut all of that out for your enjoyment.
And then, I mean, of course, there's all the emails you answer, and there's all the planning that you do. So there's a lot behind the scenes that goes with this job that,
Yeah.
isn't just the fun playing with products. So I'm glad you mentioned that as well. And I'm glad you mentioned about keep in mind the substitute guys. Just keep that in mind. Like, and make sure that this is a good fit
Yeah.
for you, because it you don't know if it's a good fit until you try it, but that was very good advice to keep the job that has the good monies coming in, while you
Yeah.
work on transitioning over, because you were in a very unique situation when you were able to
Yeah.
make the leap. Yeah.
I think a lot of people that I have met that do card making full time, they get there in a much different way than I did. Um, a lot of amazing people like Kelly Taylor, Jen Shurgis, like these people that do it full time. And it was more something where they continue to work
Yep.
until the balance of how much they had to do was like it was starting to tip into I can't do everything, so I've got to go one way or the other. I had a much different experience where I had the flexibility, and I'm so thankful for that, like every day. I never would have been able to do it if we had not moved to Washington, because I could barely do my job as an attorney, like with the amount of time and the kids, and I've got 3 boys, and life also presented a situation. My kids aren't little anymore, so I'm not chasing after toddlers or things like that. So they're kind of, my oldest is going to college, and then my second oldest is starting high school next year. And my youngest is in elementary school. He's going to be in 5th grade. So the younger 2 still need me and still need the running arounds and the helping with the homework and all of those fun things. But they want a snack, they can go in the kitchen and get themselves a snack. I don't have to do that kind of stuff anymore, which is pretty cool as a mom. I like that.
Yes, it was. I enjoyed it. I just said once,
I'm
but
like,
I really liked it. Yeah.
You were capable.
I'm like, you mean I can do stuff now? Like, I can do stuff now.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
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 Because that's when
Yeah.
my son was 5 when I started. I was going to scrapbook like his stuff. And then, like you said, he got into that like middle school. And then I was like, I could do some video. Like, I could do videos too. Like,
Yeah.
I was in the Cricut craze, the Stampin', all of it back in the 90s, early 2000s. I was in all the crazes at the time. So I got lumped into those and thrown into, you get one video on YouTube and that's it. You're in a dark, deep dive, and you're going to be a card maker by the time you come out, because it's just so beautiful, and everybody makes it look so fun, and it's just so wonderful. But we are very grateful that the decisions aligned, because we get to see all your beautiful projects, and we're glad your husband got you the Cricut.
You're so sweet.
You'll have to thank your husband later for buying the Cricut, because
I know
you wouldn't be here. Like,
I'm not sure if he's happy that he did that.
Well, tell him we're happy for him.
I've asked him before. I'm like, so if you could do it all over again, would you buy me the Cricut? And the hesitation in his voice tells me everything. Let's just say he's like, how many inks do you need? I'm like, I need them all.
All of them.
He's like, I see about 10 different colors of pink. I'm like, there's millions of pinks. Let me be clear. I need every shade.
I mean, I don't even have enough pinks. I need a good pink ink, is what I'm saying.
More pinks. In fact, yesterday I told you, Bridget, I need a pink purple, a pinky purple. I did not have the perfect pinky purple.
We've been discussing pinky purple inks. Yeah. It's something definitely going to put out into the Altiverse, as they call it. Put it out into the Altiverse. We need it.
Pinky purple.
Yes. This was a 2-part question from one of our amazing fans. The first part of it was, what is the best advice you received? And then it was, and who is it from? If you don't want to say who it was from, that's okay. But what was your best advice you received going through this?
I've received a lot of good and some not so good advice along the way through it. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I think that all stems from each person's experience is different. So you've got to take it all too with like a grain of salt. If someone's telling you like, oh, design teams are so hard and they have so much work involved, that could be true for them, but for you, it might be amazing. You might love it. You might love making 10 cards a month and putting them out. That it so I would say take the advice from everyone, but take it with a grain of salt because you know you, and it's going to impact everyone differently. So, best advice I probably received along the way, it's very hard to say, but I will say that actually, like, the simplest which advice I received that wasn't even personally directed towards me, which I still to this day, like, resonates really well with me, is with Kathy Zilski. Her videos oftentimes will be a matter of, you don't know until you try it. Just give it a go. Like, and that was the best advice I probably got because it oftentimes would remind me, even to this day, of just like, oh, you know what CZ did? She went in and she'll say all the time that she's not a colorist, but she still uses markers. She tries them. She does different things. And so I do the same thing. I pull out I don't use colored pencils a lot, but I will pull them out because I've seen most recently Alberto. He does such amazing coloring, and I learned that he will use colored pencils with his alcohol markers, which is not something I ever considered doing. And it's amazing. Like, and I gave it a go. And even though I had colored pencils sitting in a drawer that I had bought, I don't know, like a year earlier, because somebody said, like, you need these. And I said, okay.
Sure.
Sure, I need it. Give it a go. And don't think too much about it, I think was probably the best advice I got.
And that's, my husband always used to have a saying, hard telling, not knowing. And it is. You don't know until you try. I mean, and that's in life. That's outside of crafting, inside of crafting. It's across the board. You don't know what you like until you try something. You
just make sure it's legal.
Oh, yes. I was going to say, you may like paddleboarding. You don't know. Grab a paddleboard.
Yeah.
You may like asparagus, an avocado. Try them. It just. And you may like watercolor. You may like pastes. You may love pastes. So give.
Oh, the number of people that I use paste a lot, and it goes with that kind of clean and kind of complicated card that I make, where I love to add a background. So I very often will add some kind of texture paste with a stencil or things like that, which is usually associated with mixed media. And mixed media just means you use different medias on your card.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you have one of those amazing, like, Tim Holtz creations that some people make. Like, those are amazing. And obviously those are mixed media. But you can also have a mixed media clean and simple card. And I have a lot of people that come to me because I do use the texture paste, where they're like, I thought I had to do all of the crazy things with the paste like that I see. And so I was intimidated by it, and I never broke it out to use it. And like, you inspired me to just put it through a stencil and make a very clean background with it. And they're so happy that they actually used a supply that they purchased, that they had kind of just sitting there. Because sometimes we get so excited, we buy the thing, and then we don't know what to do with the thing once we get the thing. It just use it, Don't let it sit there. Try it.
And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And we all have crafty friends virtually somewhere, and we have the postal service. Throw it in a bag and be like, hey, this wasn't my jam, but maybe it's yours. Try it out and see what you get, And that's the
Yeah.
thing. We're not going to like everything, but at least try to see what you like as
Yeah,
the kids.
yeah. And don't feel like I guess that's the other thing too, on the flip side of that. Don't feel like you have to like
Yeah,
everything. Give it a try. And if it's not your thing, then like that's okay.
yeah,
It's not your thing. Like grungy is not really my thing. I've tried it many times. I still kind of like try it every once in a while to see if maybe it's could be my thing. But it's just really not my thing. And so I leave that to the experts to make the grungy cards, and I ooh and ah over
yes.
them when I see
And we
them.
click the hearts and we do the whole thing. We leave a nice
Mm-hmm.
comment. So we appreciate it. That's what when I started, I watched two beautiful mixed media, like traditional, like we're talking about. I mean, they had the clear like gel, they were doing the tissue paper out of books and the inking and the spraying and I mean, there must
Yeah,
have been 30
yeah.
techniques on this one project. And I'm like, I could do this. And I got it home and I'm like, I can't do this. And it was like, okay. So it's finding your style too, I think is part of it. It's is as you're going.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the beautiful thing about this industry is there's so many, and a lot of times on design teams even, you look and see and you see somebody that is your style. You see somebody that you're like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I am buying this product because this person did this. I may have done that with something Charlene made. um,
Buy all the things.
but that's it though, is like you find your person on that design team because like they usually have all the styles on there
Mm-hmm.
and you love them all, but there's usually one that you connect with because you're like, that's me, that's my style. I like that. I can do
Mm-hmm.
that. And so that's I think the great thing too about this community is you can find your people. Whatever type of card maker or project maker
Yes.
you are, you find your peeps and then you just drool over the other projects because they're so gorgeous and you're like, yeah, I don't think I can do
Yeah.
that.
And you can pull elements too from those other projects that might not necessarily be your style, which I have found I do that a lot with like I'll watch Jen Shirgis, a lot of her stuff, and she does a lot with watercoloring. I don't do very much with watercoloring, but sometimes she'll do something with watercoloring where I'm like, that. Thank you, Miss Shirgis. I will stick that back there and use that for my card. So you can definitely find inspiration in a lot of places, but then of course there are the people that you will just like you just love their
You
style
just
and
rule
you
and you
yeah
love and
yeah
you're like, "Yep, I've tried that, but no, nope, but somebody else in this world can do it really well. So I'm going to drool over their work." And, yeah, so that's definitely one of the things. And this goes to one of the final questions we had from the fan group was, do you get to enjoy personal crafting time for yourself, making projects for whatever you want to make?
Not as much as I did before, and I am guilty of not making the time for myself to do it. There's I have refined and found kind of my happy place in a lot of ways with a lot of the projects I do make, so they are all pretty much everything I work with at this point in time is things that I would also use in my personal time, like if I was going to make something. But you've actually, Miss Casey, been an inspiration to me to find more free time to just have those, as you say, have a play.
Have a play.
If you guys don't know Bridget, that she says that a lot, and it's true, just to have a play. And so I have actually been trying to find more opportunities for not like, oh, what am I going to do for this specific thing? Just sitting down and saying, oh, I haven't ever used this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Let's see what happens with no expectations or intentions of what I'm going to do with that thing. Maybe it turns out, maybe it doesn't. Maybe I look at it and I'm like, oof, like that's going down in the trashy can down there. But it's still, it gives you give yourself permission and freedom to have a play. And so I'm trying to follow that advice from you.
Yay.
And be better about that. So I guess short answer would be no, I don't do it enough, but I'm working it.
Work in progress. We love work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress.
Is awesome. We love it. And it is. And that's, I think, one of the challenging things too, that people, I think, recognize, like, that want to do this full time. They're like, well, I still want to craft for me. And you do, but you're like, when, and
Yeah.
and for me, this hobby started as something that was my downtime. Like, everybody knew, like, leave her alone. She's crafting. Like, she's like communing with the paper. Like, just leave her. And then now,
let her have her experience.
Yes, like, let her whatever she's in, just, and so now it's like, but now what do I do? Because this isn't my communing with paper anymore, really. Now there's a deadline, or there's a project, or there's something connected to it now. So it's, do you keep that? I mean, I do love to have a play. I try at least twice a week to have a play where there's no deadline, no nothing. I grab some random thing in a package that I have not opened that is begging to have ink on it in some way. But yeah, it is a struggle. It's definitely, I think, a struggle for most makers. We'll call folks that create content. I think everybody struggles with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And most people obviously don't go into card making and it becomes their whole world. Like, like I recognize that this is not the norm in terms of my path. But most people will have a variety, especially if they're creative lovers, and they'll have, some card making supplies, and maybe journaling supplies, and maybe some cross stitch, or they'll paint, or they'll do those things. I'm still in the process of trying to find, like, other creative things I enjoy outside of card making. And I think it's just because I went so deep down the rabbit hole
and quickly
with card making
quickly
that I'm still looking for those other, the one thing I did used to do, I've always been somewhat creative. For fun, learned how to bake cakes, like fancy cakes.
Nice.
So when my kids were little, I made, like, one year I did a Lego themed birthday party, and I made all the decorations, and I made a Lego, like, stacked Lego cake with the fondant and this and that and the other. And one year I made a treasure chest, and because they had a pirate party, and, like, so that was my outlet back when the kids were younger, is for their birthdays, I would, like, plan these big birthday parties and do all of the decorating and the cute little Pinterest things that I would find. And I learned how to bake cakes, and I would do those. So I could stand to make a cake. I haven't made a cake in a long time. The kids are kind of, like, past that age, to have those kinds of birthday parties. But maybe at some point I'll do that.
I bet they'll eat the cake. I'm betting they'll eat the cake.
Yes.
They're not too old for that.
It's true. True story. Not too old for eating. Yes.
It will go quickly.
Well, and part of the reason I always enjoyed it was because also this will sound weird to some people, but I didn't have to figure out what to do with it when I was done with it.
Yep.
So, like, I would make the fancy cake, but then it was eaten, and I had pictures of it, and I didn't have to worry about, like, finding something to do with it. And with card making, it's very similar in the sense that I make a card, and I donate a lot of my cards. So I keep, like, some that are to go out to friends and family or for birthdays and things like that. And then a large portion of them go in a box, and it just, when the box gets full enough, they go off. And I've got a picture to keep near and dear to my heart, but I don't, I'm always okay with letting them go. And that's not to say to the people at home that you have to be like me. I know lots of people that love, it brings them great joy to pull out their cards that they've made and go through them and physically touch them. And that's great. Find those things that make you happy, and continue to do those things. That it's different for each person.
Yeah, absolutely. To find what brings you joy in that. Definitely. Now you know what's coming. The 3-word game association. Yes! And I say she knows what's coming because she's a long-time listener to the podcast, which is awesome.
Wait. Did we do the how many supplies though? Don't we do that first or is that after?
Oh, no, we don't do that one for this. That's no.
Oh!
You were prepared for
I
it.
had a planned answer for what supplies I was gonna have.
Maybe we'll do 2-word associations and we'll do the supply go bag. Usually the supply go bag was like with Kathy Z the other day, and Amy has that
I had an answer in my head.
We can do it. We'll do 2
but we don't have to do it.
We can do the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon and crafty supplies and relating it back. As you know, let's
do it.
We're not really strict here with that. So your first word is pink.
Ink.
Beautiful. Love it. And we're looking for a pinky purple. So too bad you didn't get pinky purple.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been perfect.
That was quick.
I do love pinks.
Your next word is play.
Bridget.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes these words, I think there are crafty bots, like Amy Rasavi always says, the crafty bots, because some of the words are like right from the conversation. I'm like, ooh, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Have a play.
That's terrifying.
That makes me think of you.
That. We just talked about pinky purple and
they're listening.
What the computer knows here. Okay, and the last one is envelope.
Card.
Do you decorate your envelopes?
On occasion, I do. If I am creating a card for a specific thing, like if I know, my grandmother's birthday is coming up, or my mother-in-law's, Mother's Day is coming, so I need to make a card for my mother-in-law, I will sometimes do the envelope at the same time, and decorate it. But if it's a matter of I'm pulling a card that I have that I've just got in my created bin that I've kept, usually it's like, oh man, I was supposed to send this 2 days ago. Like shoving it in the envelope that I've hastily written the address on and slapped a stamp on. Yeah.
And just for bonus points, what would be your 7 items that you would take with you in your crafty to-go bag, since you have the answer?
So I would bring paper, ink, stamps, scissors, markers, blending brushes. Did I say stamps already?
Yep. You got your stamps, You got your paper, you got your ink.
Ink, scissors, blending brushes. Oh, and glue.
You got a perfect card right there. You're done. Like you're good.
I won't be bored at all. I'll have plenty of stuff to do.
It'll be very, very good. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today. I know we have a lot of fans out there that this is their dream, to be a crafter full time. So it was such an honor to have you come on and tell us your story and how you got into it and answer some of the fan questions, which is the first time I've kind of done that, which is very exciting to have fan questions answered live. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was really a pleasure. I enjoyed absolutely every moment of it, and you were a fantastic host to hang out with.
Thank you very much. We always like to keep it fun on the podcast and that's like we play games. We have some fun questions, so we like to keep it fun. To all of you listening out there, thank you, and watching. Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to tune in next month, because you never know who the next guest is going to be on Craft Your Life. Until next time, my dear friends, happy crafting. Bye, everyone.
Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and everywhere you can find podcasts to keep up with every new episode. Email us at support@altanew.com with your feedback. And don't forget to craft your life.
Hello, crafters. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.